How is it allowed that corporate America can marginalize males, marginalize white people, marginalize Asian people, and get away with this? We had Ford going out on white people. We had Gillette going after males and male masculinity. We had the NFL going after nationalism, being proud of your country. And now we have Coca-Cola telling us you shouldn't be white. You must try and not be white.
Let's talk about the focus areas here. So we're focusing on what? Whiteness. Why not focus on cancer, mental health? Why are they targeting this specific topic? Now, it's something I'm very passionate about. Now, just under 20% of Americans suffer from some sort of mental illness. That's 1/5 of the country that is suffering from some sort of a mental illness. That is taken from statistics given to them by doctors, hospitals, psychiatrists, psychologists. Of that, over 60% are males. 80% of those males are white. Specifically white blue-collar workers and poor white people. 80% of males successfully commit suicide. I'm not sure about the figure, I can't remember, but I think 70% of those are untreated because they have no antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication or anything like that in their bloodstream. Why? There was an article that was written about that I posted on Minds. This woman wrote a paper on why white men are the most, they have the highest figures of suicide. And I'm not monetized yet, but this video might be suppressed because I'm talking about a word that triggers the algorithm within YouTube. And the reason I know that is because there's a woman with one leg. I think it's Annie, one-legged Annie, and she talks about her struggles with losing her leg and so on, and eventually having her leg amputated, and how she struggled with depression and anxiety and all those kinds of things, and her day-to-day life. And the last video that my wife watched, I actually watched it with her because it was related to YouTube and what is happening with the channel, and her videos were demonetized because it was talking about depression. And what YouTube just said about the comments about it said it's not part of their, doesn't form it's against their policy. The group it's just against their policies. No real explanation as to what. So she made a follow-up video, which I would actually like my wife to show to me, and I would like to see whether or not they demonetize that video as well. So talking about that is taboo, but talking about whiteness is fine. Mental illness is a topic that corporate America doesn't want to associate themselves with, okay? Because that's basically what it boils down to. YouTube is a business, and they will advertise wherever they feel comfortable advertising. YouTube will only monetize a video that they think they're going to make money out of. So what does that tell you? YouTube don't think they're going to make money out of any video related to any mental illness. Okay, and why is that? Why is that? Because it's a sensitive subject, which tells you that mental illness is still taboo, No, none of the big corporates will come out and advertise in front of a video because there's a negative connotation there. So they don't want to be connected in any way or form with something negative like that. But they can take something as negative as fucking dealing with whiteness, being less white, and they can link their names to that. That just doesn't make sense. What are these people thinking? What are they thinking? Coke to woke. Employees urged to be less white as part of training. The Toronto Sun writes. Let's see what they write. The training was offered by LinkedIn Education and was called Confronting Racism after a whistleblower released screen grabs of the course to a YouTuber. It was allegedly taken offline. What a surprise. In the US and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel that they are inherently superior because they are white, reads one of the slides, allegedly sent from the internal news whistleblower and posted on Twitter by Colin Burasenko. Burasenko said she was sent the screenshots. Another suggested employees should try to be less white and the less oppressive, listen, believe, and break with white solidarity. The course features interviews from Robin DiAngelo, who wrote the Confronting Racism course featuring Robin DiAngelo is no longer available in our course library. At the request of the third-party content provider, we licensed this content from Nicole Leverich, Vice President of Corporate Communications, told Newsweek. It is in a twist. A representative for Diaglo said she didn't create any of the slides. Coca-Cola said the training was not mandatory according to Newsweek, but some employees told Borisenko it was. We will continue to listen to our employees and refine our learning programs as appropriate, Coca-Cola told Newsweek. I'm gonna have to delete this portion of the video. Okay, let me put it like this. I think that there should be consequences for the actions of Coca-Cola. I think that's a better way of stating it. I don't think I can get into trouble for stating it like that, but hopefully you can read in between the lines. The people as well as Coca-Cola. If you like my channel and would like to support it, there are various ways you can do it. You can do it via PayPal, you can do it via Patreon, and there's a crypto option as well. Please subscribe, like, and the biggest thing that you can do to help this channel is sharing it with your family and friends, colleagues, because that's the only way the channel will grow. In another piece, the Washington Post wrote how Coca-Cola has tricked everyone into drinking so much of. This is a piece written in 2015, October. You may think you have come to like soda all on your own, but that desire is the product of decades worth of focused and often troubling efforts on behalf of the soda industry. This is, in so many words, one of the takeaways from a new book about how the industry has paid, lobbied, and hypnotized its way into the hearts of people around the world. The book, called Soda Politics, is written by esteemed New York University professor and longtime food industry activist Marion Nestle, and it will leave a sour taste in anyone's mouth.
Over the past 60 plus years, Coca-Cola and PepsiCo have invested unfathomable amounts of money in ensuring that people crave their core products, and that investment has often come in forms far more devious than most would imagine. Nestle argues, sure, the soda industry has paid for its fair share of television commercials, bulletin boards, ads, and marketing campaigns, but it has also worked, i.e., paid, to block unfavorable legislation, influence policy, maintain its popularity among poor people, young people, and minorities, undermining public health. In recent years, soda consumption has slowed, leading many to chronicle its demise. A recent New York Times piece argued that the industry might still win battles, but it's losing the war. Such a disastrous time for an industry as ruthless as the soda industry, however, has only brought forth some of its most valiant and deplorable efforts. The trust is that the truth is that whatever happens going forward, as Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola struggle to ensure the longevity of their corporate drinks here in the United States and anywhere elsewhere, it should come as little surprise given what the industry has done in the past. I spoke to Nestle to pick her brain about how the soda industry has gotten its way and learned more about her new book. The interview has been edited for length and clarity. Now, the Washington Post wrote, Coca-Cola internal documents reveal efforts to sell to teens despite obesity crisis. Now, this is a while back, okay, so it's not a new article, but I just want to show that they've been at it for a bit. This is in December 2019. Coca-Cola has sponsored the Olympic Games since 1928, the longest standing brand partner and one that has helped many national Olympic committees send athletes to compete. So they have been doing some good, but obviously it's to advertise their product. And it's a tax write-off, so let's not be too comfortable with the fact that they are doing good because they want to. Coca-Cola has sponsored the Olympic Games since 1928, the longest standing brand partner and one that has helped many national Olympic committees send athletes to compete. So says the beginning of a Coca-Cola internal document, a global request for proposals for a public relations campaign for the 2016 Games in Rio de Janeiro. The budget, 1.5 million to 2.5 million. Among the target audience, teens and moms. A newspaper in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health this week found that the Coca-Cola company's public relations goals included trying to shift teens' sense of health impacts of drinking sugary soda. Obesity rates for children have tripled since the 1970s, an increase that puts children at greater risk of diabetes, heart disease, and other health problems. The 2015-2016 National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey found 18.5% of kids aged 2 to 19 were obese. In the United States, childhood obesity is estimated to cost $14 billion annually in direct health expenses. Rates of obesity among adults are even worse. In 2007, 33.7% of the American adults were obese. The most recent estimates approach 40%, according to the American Medical Association. This is in 2019. The paper produced by Australian Deakin University and US Rights to Know, a non-profit consumer and public health group, includes other Coca-Cola documents. A request for proposal for a campaign called Movement is Happiness. Its public relations goals included to increase Coke brand's health scores with teens and to cement credibility in the health and well-being space. Countries such as Mexico, Chile and Brazil have pushed back against sugary soda legislation, enacting sugar drink taxes and limiting marketing and advertising targeting or directed at kids. Gary Ruskin, co-director of US Right to Know, said that after a review of thousands of pages of requested documents from Coca-Cola, some themes emerge. One of these, Coca-Cola's efforts to evade responsibility for the global obesity epidemic, he said by phone. Even though the health problems are quite severe in the US, we live under de facto corporate control. The food industry is incredibly powerful in the US. What insidious here is a health campaign that is using tobacco tactics, promoting alternative science in a way that advances the notion that sugary soda aren't really so bad for people's health. Ruskin said Coca-Cola is internationally targeting a vulnerable population. Ken Randers, Vice President of Public Affairs and Communication at Coca-Cola Company, said these internal documents predate Coca-Cola's 2016 commitment to discontinue funding physical activity programs. He said Coca-Cola has repositioned itself as a total beverage company with products that include water, juice drinks, tea, coffee, sports drinks and energy drinks, as well as sodas. At Coca-Cola, we recognize that too much sugar isn't good for anyone. That's why around the world we are reducing the amount of sugar in our products and taking other steps to help people reduce their sugar intake. In fact, in 2017-2018 we eliminated 425,000 tons of sugar from our global portfolio of products through innovations such as new recipes, smarter packs and wider availability of low and zero sugar products. In the Movement is Happiness internal document, which dates to 2013, there is a commitment to offer low or no calorie beverages in every market, to provide transparent nutrition information and to not pitch advertising to children under the age of 12. In the Movement is Happiness internal documents, which dates to 2013, there is a commitment to offer low or no calorie beverages in every market, to provide transparent nutrition information and to not pitch advertising to children under age 12. Benjamin Wood, a PhD candidate at Deakin University and one of the study's authors, said the documents show how explicit Coca-Cola is in targeting teenagers and that younger populations are not immune. We wanted to raise awareness of these hidden tactics and strategies to target teenagers and their mothers, Wood said. Coke also uses the recruitment of role models for young children. Ruskin pointed to Coca-Cola's powerful and far-reaching political apparatus as an impediment to enacting good sugary drink policy. There's a global effort from policymakers and public health people across the world trying to grasp the effect of ultra-processed food on human health, he said. It's a weapon of mass destruction. We are drinking less soda. That's been well documented, but we still drink a lot of soda. Is that right? On a paper on a per capita basis, there are a couple of countries in Latin America that drink more soda. But what's interesting about the consumption is that half the population in America doesn't drink it at all. So whenever you see consumption figures, you've really got to double them if you want a sense of what people who drink soda drink on average. So these messages about drinking less soda are only catching on with half of the population. Well, here's what the breakdown looks like. This is what we know. Educated, wealthier people are the ones who avoid it. These are the healthiest people in society, and the healthiest people in society don't drink soda. They either don't touch it or drink it in extremely small amounts. There's a table from an industry publication that lays out who drinks soda. Males drink more than females. Younger people drink more than older people. Single people drink more than those who are married. High school graduates drink more than college graduates. Blue collar workers drink more than white collar workers. Hispanic and African Americans drink more than whites and Asians. And people from the south drink more than people from northwest. Then you have the amounts. As I said before, half of the population doesn't drink any soda. A quarter of the population drinks more than 1/12 ounce can each day. 20% of the population has between more than 1 and 4 cans, and 5% has more than 4 cans each day. The thing is, I'm pretty sure those numbers are underestimated, because the thing is, I'm pretty sure those numbers are underestimates, because there are people who drink the stuff all day long. I think that's amazing. Let's talk about the new book, Millions of Americans Buy Soda Every Day. They choose to drink it. Why are they choosing to drink it? Most of it is marketing, brilliant marketing. I have just come back from the World of Coca-Cola exhibit in Atlanta, and it's breathtaking. If there's one thing I learned from doing the research for this book, is how extraordinarily comprehensive the marketing is around soda. I hadn't appreciated that before. This is a strategy that encompasses every possible way in which you can reach people, and you reach people emotionally. They show a movie at this place, and let me tell you, there's not a dry eye in the house. Everybody is so moved by the kind of things that are exhibited, which have nothing to do with Coca-Cola, except for the fact that at the end of the videos there are people drinking soda. It's just an amazing document. The advertisements are designed to sell happiness. They're not selling a drink, but on an emotional level you attach to it. And it's so pervasive that you don't even notice it. You're not supposed to notice it. If you start putting your critical thinking cap on and look at all the places, if you start putting your critical thinking cap on and looking at all the places, you can see subtle, or If you start putting your critical thinking cap on and looking at all the places you see subtle or no. If you start putting your critical thinking cap on and looking at all the places you see subtle or no subtle marketing or not subtle marketing for Coca-Cola and Pepsi, you're kind of stunned by how much of it there is. But otherwise, it's just kind of there, and you don't notice it, save for on some kind of sip. But otherwise, it's just kind of there, and you don't notice it, save for on some kind of subliminal level. We don't like to talk about we don't like to talk about subliminal levels because we think we're completely rational actors in all of this. But the soda companies know better, and they use that to their advantage. That is largely the reason why we love soda so much. How far back does the hypnosis go? When did it start? Can you talk a bit about the Coca-Cola and Pepsi become symbols in America? It started early on, with very small amounts of soda. It was never a problem when the bottles were only 6.5 ounces. People didn't have much money then. Even if you were buying them for a nickel, it was still a considerable cost. But even in the early years of the 20th century, the companies were producing vast numbers of jockeys. There was an extraordinary number of items that were given out, so there were tangible objects attached to the Coca-Cola logo that people started collecting very early on. The check-out line at World of Coca-Cola today is still brimming with people. You could furnish a house with Coca-Cola logoed items. They started doing this very early, and it was fun and wholesome and healthy. That went on all the way up to the Second World War, in which point Coca-Cola did something even more brilliant, which was that it partnered with the army to provide Coca-Cola to soldiers anywhere in the world. And as a result of that partnership, the military actually paid for the transportation of Coca-Cola and helped them build bottling plants. It was completely embedded in military culture, so that by the time soldiers came back from World War II, Coca-Cola was part of the Allied effort to win the war. That was pretty clever. The astonishing thing about the world of Coca-Cola is that you pay a fee to go into it. People sit there and watch advertisements for hours without blinking, and they do it willingly. That's a feat. Coca-Cola and Pepsi haven't just built up their brands over the years. They've also been masterful about defending them. Lately that has been warding off health and obesity. How have they done that? Well, at first they denied that their product was at all responsible for the rise in obesity in the United States. They've literally gone through many of the stages of death and dying. First they denied, Then they realized they could straight out deny it. Now, over the past 10 years or so, Coca-Cola at least has disclosed to the Securities and Exchange Commission that obesity is the number one threat to their profits. They make it very clearly to health advocates and government agencies. One of the more troubling aspects about the way in which they've advertised is how they target specific groups. The first is children, which you talk about in your book. Can you elaborate a little? The companies have pledged not to market under the age of 12 or children's television programming, and by all accounts they're adhering to that, but that doesn't mean they're not marketing to children. The easiest ways to see this is to look at the collection of objects that Coca-Cola makes for sale. To see this is to look at the collection of objects that Coca-Cola makes for sale and how many of them are aimed at children. They're not making baby bottles anymore, but they did. If you go to the Coca-Cola store, there are loads of items that are specifically tailored to kids. There's also a tremendous amount of marketing to teenagers. They see sports and music figures as well as celebrities that they see on television aligned with these brands. So it's really not possible to draw a line at an age. Much of the marketing is aimed directly at teenagers, but it spills over, and the companies know this. They also know that the earlier they get people on board, the more likely it is that they will have a lifetime customer. The other group that they target are the poor and minorities. They're more likely than any other demographic to drink soda. Is that right? Many other groups drink Coke and Pepsi, but the groups that are their core customers are young men and, in general, minorities. They have a higher consumption than any other demographic, but soda consumption also tracks with low income and low education. The minority situation is very interesting because of the historic. The minority situation is very interesting because of the history, part of which I recount in my book. Before the night he died, Martin Luther King Jr. called for a boycott of Coca-Cola because the company wasn't hiring African Americans. That's no longer the case, very much the opposite. In fact, the soda industry employs and serves millions of African Americans today. You have to understand that you have to understand history to understand why the big African American and Hispanic organizations supported the soda industry when Michael Bloomberg put a cap on the size of sodas in New York City and why that's significant. Are there parallels between the soda industry and the cigarette industry? Oh, I mean, absolutely. Both of them are selling a product that's not good for you, for your health. Oh, I mean, absolutely. Both of them are selling a product that's not good for your health. Now, cigarettes are much worse, but they aren't good. The message for cigarettes is stop smoking and put cigarette companies out of business. The message for soda, however, is for people to drink a whole lot less and stop the companies from marketing their products to kids and other vulnerable populations. It's a much more complicated message, but a lot of what the soda industry is doing is extremely similar to what the tobacco industry was doing back when it was fighting concerns about the health effects of tobacco use. What sort of parallels are we talking about here? Well, firstly, you deflect attention from the product. You talk about hydration, you talk about exercise, you fund a bunch of community health organizations. I remember when Philip Morris used to do that. They funded all of the arts organizations. Coca-Cola funds hundreds of organizations. They've just been forced to reveal that, and the list is astonishing. As I like to say, you scroll and scroll through the list and you're still only on the D's. You've still got the rest of the alphabet to go. You can't believe the number of organizations they get money from. Coca-Cola funds hundreds of organizations. They've just been forced to reveal that, and the list is astonishing. As I like to say, you scroll and scroll through the list and you're still only on the D's. You've still got the rest of the alphabet to go. You can't believe the number of organizations that get money from them, and that buys silence from them. It deflects criticism and it puts those organizations in a very difficult position when it comes to making health recommendations about soda drinking. So that's what a classic conflict of interest looks like. All of those are things that the tobacco industry did as well. But of course, there are tons of behind the scenes things that have gone on that people never see. You never see the lobbying, you never see the funding of really anti-health public organizations such as the Center of Consumer Freedom, which came out very strongly against the Bloomberg soda cap in New York. We don't know who funded it because the group operates in secret, but the American Beverage Association must have been behind that. You just don't see the ugly stuff. I've ended up feeling like the soda industry was too complicated. I've ended up feeling like the soda industry was two completely different companies, entirely schizophrenic within the organization. I've ended up feeling like the soda industry was two completely different companies, entirely schizophrenic within the organization. On the one hand, all about love and happiness. On the other hand, all about doing every single hardball thing they could do to make sure that people don't fight them